Hi, welcome to the BariNation Podcast, where we support the bariatric community with humor, humility, and honesty. I'm April.
I'm Jason.
I'm Natalie.
We're coming to you to recap the year that was 2023. Not the year that any of us thought we would have, I think.
Absolutely not.
Nope.
Not even close.
Absolutely. Not even close. Not even close. No, if I would have I don't know, put a bunch of random slips of paper that said what this year could have been like and pulled them all out of the hat, none of them would have been in the hat. None of them.
No, absolutely not.
No,
Right.
there's a TikTok going around right now that's like January me talking to November me and them just being like, what? That's crazy. I'm like, that's how I feel.
Yes.
It reminds me of the teacher memes that I always get. It's like the teacher in September is just perfectly put together and it's so exciting. And then it's like the teacher in June and then they're just like war torn,
Yeah.
twitchy, like, oh my God, yeah.
Been through it.
2023.
Yes.
I'm telling you. So our goal today, the purpose of this conversation is just to reconnect with all of you, our friends, our followers, our listeners, and our watchers, and just let you guys know what our year was like. We're just gonna catch up with each other and with you all, talk about maybe what we learned, what we're taking away from 2023, and if we've thought about 2024, where our head is at when it comes to that. So if you guys are ready, I say let's just dive in.
Go.
Let's do it.
Okay, let's start with 2023. What the hell happened? What the hell happened?
Ooh, man. I can tell you the biggest thing for me was starting 2023 thinking that I was just going to be like this forever, like there was never going to be any changes in my life, my body, my things, and the way things were going, and I was just going to be stuck on this part of the journey for the rest of my life.
Yeah, I remember, Jason, when this time, or I guess January 2023, you were working with a dietitian. You were I remember those conversations very intently that you were, and to see where you are now entering getting a revision and all of this, it's just, there's been so much growth, but I being able to see and watch you go through this year has been incredible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What sticks out to me is not you and I just constantly having these conversations of what is wrong with Jason? What is going on? And she and I would be convincing them, okay, but how do we want to talk to him about this? Or what do we want to say? Yeah. And finally, she and I were just no, we're just going to corner his ass and be Jason, what the hell is wrong with you? What is up? Yeah. And we did it so many times until finally, wasn't it on a Zoom? I think it was on a Zoom. We weren't even together. Were we? We were. Where were we?
Yeah. We were in Charlie's Long Bar.
Retreat.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Charlie's Long Bar retreat. Yep.
Yeah. And people kept coming up to us and we're like, hey, we're having a very intense conversation, the three of us.
So we're going to get back here in the corner where nobody can see and we're just going to talk for a minute and then, yeah, they work.
Which
that is so true.
We loved seeing the people that came up to us, please don't get us wrong. But we were we need to have this very intense conversation right now. And Jason's almost in tears. April, I just locked eyes with a couple people and I was like, hey. We'll small talk for a minute and then I'm we're having a meeting.
Having a thing.
We're having a meeting.
That kind of sums up 2023. You just get to the meat of it and then you're squirrel and then you're off doing something else. But you're okay, wait, but we have to come back to that. But then there's this oh my God, huge thing, boom, bomb, life blown up. Everything is chaotic. Nothing is the same. Earthquake, tectonics. And you're oh, and I need to go do this too. So
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's about it. But it honestly though, it was funny to me because pretty much everything. Like, you guys understand this because you know how my brain works. It really was just kind of something that unfolded in the moment, for me to realize and really connect with what it was that was causing me all the issues. And it was because we had done a lot of on our feet at retreat, moving around, doing things, and that really locked it in for me to realize like how horrible I really felt. Because it didn't matter what shoes I had on, it didn't matter what was happening. Like, it was really rough on my body, and how upset I got because it wasn't that way last retreat. And so for me to know just from that one short year how much things had changed and devolved for me, I was just kind of like I was sitting in it, kind of just unpacking it all as I'm sitting there with both of you guys. Because a lot of times, like when I'm talking to y'all, like when I was talking about it and being like, I don't know, I thought I was good. Like, and you guys are like, nah. And I'm like, but
Nah.
like in my mind, I really thought, like, I was like, I don't know, like I thought it's pretty all right. And it really took, but it took that for me to really start unpacking that and realizing like what it was. But yeah, it was rough.
Right. Well, I'm so thankful that you finally just kind of let it out and let that, shame or worry, whatever you were carrying around with you. I'm glad that you just let that go. It was almost like a dam breaking moment. I don't think you could have got to where you are right now without having that release of those emotions.
No, absolutely not. I don't think so either. I think I've been able to not only accept where I am, but where I'm going. And everything from that point to now is what's keeping me locked in on like the pre-op, all the pre-op stuff and just getting ready and all that. Like everything I've been doing now has kind of come together from those moments and realizing kind of what it all is. Because it's really locked back in that hopeful feeling that you get, when surgery's coming and things are going to get better and it's all going to be good. And now that I know that everything's going to be corrected and fixed and I'm going to be, how I should have been the whole time, like really the only apprehension I have now is, will I still be able to, like, how much water I'm going to be able to drink, because I'm used to being able to go to the water when I need to. But I know I'm not going to be able to do that. But I just, that's really, honestly, that's my apprehension, is what it's going to feel like on the other side, because I've never been able to feel what everybody else feels.
Yeah. Well, and I think in a lot of ways too, you are going back into the unknown, and that is scary. And you are looking at a future that you've never lived before, right? You've never been a SADI patient. You've never been a pre-op patient the second time around. This is going to be completely new anatomy for you. It's a completely new life. I know just in conversations we've had, you're already thinking about what you want to do differently, how you want to live differently, the lessons that you learned from this first go around, how you want to carry them forward or take them forward with you. So there's a lot. And I kind of imagine it like almost like a cooking analogy, right? Like when you're in the kitchen, when you're making something, you have all kinds of different ingredients, but they're siloed. They're this singular thing. And it can be really difficult to look at these individual ingredients and understand how you are going to blend them to make something different, right? And something delicious, something, wonderful. And I feel like right now in your life, Jason, you were looking at a bunch of these different ingredients, and it's almost like you're learning how to put them together to make this new thing, this new life for yourself. And I think now when I think about where you and I are at, we're still looking at the ingredients and we're still trying to figure out how the hell, like, what are we making here? Like, I've got a bunch of things that don't appear to go together.
It feels for me, and I don't want to speak for you, April, but it feels like I had my kitchen and someone else went in and went, that's not very good, and tossed it out, grabbed another thing. No, you don't need that, and tossed it out. And now I'm having like to rebuild my kitchen in a way. Like, if we're using that analogy, it's like someone came in and messed shit up, and now I have to come in and replenish all, like fill all the holes and like replenish things. And it's like so different from how I felt last year. I felt so put together. Like I knew where I was going. I knew where I wanted to be this time. Like now, I thought I knew what I wanted. And that's just all out the window. I mean, truly, I left my job. I moved. I don't even know, we'll get to this later, but I don't even know what 2024 has in store. At this point, I'm just kind of like, whatever, throw it at me.
Well, isn't there that really great quote? And I'm totally going to butcher this. I don't know who said it, but it basically talks about how, sometimes we just have to float down the river. We just have to go wherever the water takes us, so to speak. We spend a lot of our time in our lives fighting against the current or trying to swim upstream or, trying to cross. And sometimes the only pathway forward is just to let, the universe take us where it's going to take us.
Yeah.
Which is not easy.
Yeah. Our dear friend, Christine Mason, says that I'm the queen of manifestation. Sure, I guess. But also, this looks really different than what I had in my head, okay?
Like, I don't know who manifested this shit, but it wasn't me.
Hey, you said you wanted to move. You manifested a move, and look at you. New state.
Yeah. That's all I can say.
You're like the person that asks the genie for wishes, but you don't read the fine print. So you get the wish, but it's like not exactly as it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Freaking
genie.
It reminds me of my wedding when we got married. Before we got married, my dad, jokingly asked Grady, he's like, "What do you want for your wedding gift, Grady?" And he was like, "Oh, I don't know, a 38-foot yacht." At our wedding, my dad was like, "Well, Grady, I'm giving you what you asked for, a 38-foot yacht." And people lost their damn. They thought that James Bond was seriously going to drive a 38-foot boat up and park it and be like, "Here's the keys." My dad reaches into this bag, and everybody thought it was going to be keys to a boat. Like, oh my God, we're dumb. And he pulls out this plastic boat that he glued 38 doll's feet to.
Yes.
38-foot boat.
That's amazing.
Somewhere. I mean,
Yeah.
Manifest.
Yeah, I mean, it's all happening in a way. I just, I mean, we talked about this a little before we hit record. Like, I'm not used to not having any idea of what the next year is going to look like. For the last 30 years, I've had some semblance of like, this thing is going to happen, or I can expect this to happen because I planned it. And I'm in this place of like, I don't fucking know what's going to happen. It is a black abyss.
Not even a rough outline. Like, that's the hard part. Like, you're just like,
Nothing. I have nothing tying me to where I'm living. I'm looking for, a new job. I financially am not super stable. I mean, there's all these things where I'm like, who knows? And that's scary. It's hard.
It is very scary. And the only other time in my life where I can really resonate with that, Nat, because you and I are very similar. We've had very similar trajectories, right? Like we even have the same degree, basically, for degrees. But when I went into bariatric surgery, I had no idea what the future would hold. I had some semblance, but absolutely none whatsoever. And you guys know I'm not a faith person. I'm not a faith-based person. I didn't grow up with religion at all. But I finally understand the concept of faith now. And it took bariatric surgery to get there. So yeah, I mean, I would not like to be functioning from that place either. It's just not comfortable. It's not comfortable.
No. And my parents, God bless them, ask me every couple of weeks, "So what are you thinking?" I don't know. Like, I just truly, like, I finally looked at them with just like the biggest pleading in my eyes. Like, please don't ask me again, because I have no idea. No idea. None. And it's so unlike me. And that's why they're asking, because they're like, "You don't know?" And I'm like, I don't know. Like, Swear on
Yeah.
my life. Have no idea.
Yep. No.
So,
You know, this year, kind of the same thing. Went in no direction that I thought it was going to go whatsoever. I mean, I went from same thing, super stable, be doing this the rest of my life, to not doing that whatsoever. And I think the thing that really threw me for the biggest loop was getting to Wonderland and being utterly unfazed by it. That was a real trip. I thought that would be a big milestone. I thought I would be happy. I thought I would be, jovial, like, oh, this was my goal and I worked so hard for it. And man, I mean, I think, didn't I call or text you guys? Like, I stepped on the scale and I was like 191. Like I missed the 199. I just blew right past it because it was a summer of me being like, I ain't doing nothing and doing nothing aligned to bariatric surgery, just crazy, ridiculous, stressful, fun, just like madness, straight madness. And I stepped on the scale and I was like, 191. Well, how the hell did that happen? And then I can remember what?
You texted us and was like, so this happened. And we were like, are you happy? Like,
no,
we don't know what's happening here.
No, I was literally like, what is this garbage? Like, oh my God, because I instantly went from like, what to like, what? I was not doing any of the things that I was told or thought that I needed to do to lose weight. I was doing none of it. And that was when I lost the most significant amount of weight that I've lost since, since the first big drop. And I was just so angry because I just felt a little bit, not betrayed, but I think I just felt like, okay, wait a minute. Like, am I living in the matrix? Like, is this a different reality, right? Because all of the thing, tracking macros and really being fastidious with your movement and doing things specifically and hydration and vitamins. And it was like all of that stuff went out the window this summer. And yet when I stopped focusing on all of those things, I saw a different result on the scale. This was something that our friend Victoria talked about in one of our most recent podcast episodes with her, right? She's battling significant regain and doing amazing things with it by focusing on things that you wouldn't necessarily focus on when you're thinking about regain, right? So what she's been doing is a little bit different from what you would expect, and yet she's seeing amazing results too. So that was definitely a very weird part of my year. And granted, I'm thankful for where I'm at. I feel great. I feel like I recognize myself in the mirror, but getting to 199 did not do or feel like what I thought it would. A definite arrival fallacy for me. And that was a bit of a shock because I worked 4 years to get there. And then all of a sudden you're like, okay, well, what the hell?
Well, and the anticlimactic part of it all also throws you into a different part of the mind fuck. Because you're like, well, this was supposed to be like super celebratory. I was supposed to be super happy. Like, this is what I worked for. Like, why am I not more excited about it? Then you have to start trying to unpack that while you're still trying to unpack the fact that you got where you were going to get. Like, there's a lot of levels to that make it really hard at the same time.
Yeah.
And I think too, just knowing you so well, April, is that it didn't make sense. Like, it didn't unfold the way that like you had in your head. Like, I'm going to check all these boxes and then I'll see the results. That wasn't happening for you prior to June, we'll say. After June, I was able to see very closely. Yeah, not that you gave up, but you were kind of just like, well, whatever, the summer's going to be what it's going to be, and whatever, it is what it is. And I remember when I got that text message, and that's why I asked, like, how do you feel about that? Because you and I, again, are very similar. We think we're just going to hit the boxes and the results are going to come. And you didn't do that. And the results came. And so it's almost like it was more frustrating because you weren't following the protocol and you still got the results. And that is frustrating.
Well, and for somebody like you, it's hard for you to have the result with no data to back it up. That's your, yeah, because you're a data person. Like you are a data person. So when the data's not there, you're like, the fuck?
Right? I was like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? And it also, I think the other reason it frustrates me is because, we're all looking for the solution. What is the solution? What's the answer? What's the formula that we can all follow? And this is just going to work out for everybody. And I always have that in the back of my mind, even though I know it's not rational, that's crazy. I get that. But there's this deep-seated hope in me that there's going to be this magic formula and maybe I can be the one to figure it out. And that moment really broke that hope. But while it broke that, I think what it gave me, though, is the one question that I haven't been able to answer until now is, can I live at 199? And what is it going to take for me to maintain that weight? And then the other big question is, does it really matter to me that I weigh 199 or 205 or 210? And by getting to the weight I'm at now, so I weighed myself today and I'm 187. I'm realizing I can live at this lower weight. I don't know if it's metabolically well for me yet. I had to switch insurance and I haven't had my blood work done. So that's a question that's lingering, because if this isn't a healthy weight for me, I'm not going to stay here. But what it has proven to me is I can be happy at a lot of different weights. What actually fulfills me is connecting with the community, being active, having a better understanding of why I'm moving, right? It's really more about practices and letting go of these strict rules that I thought I needed to follow, and be much more open and accepting of these general guidelines than the absolute strictest of things.
And it goes back to what we talked about in the community struggle bus, the BariNation community. Twice a month, we have a struggle bus in the community for our members and Patreon supporters only. And the topic came up of basically honoring ourselves, honoring our desires. And I really think I started out this year thinking my word is sustainability. I think that's still something I will strive for. It'll probably be my word of the year for 2024. But I really think when it comes down to it, this year was about how can I honor where I'm at and also where I want to be. And just listening to you, April and Jason, that's what it really boils down to this year, is like, we had to learn how to honor where we're at and also where we want to be.
Mm-hmm. That was such a profound conversation that was brought. And it was a question, a member asked the question, like, how do you honor, your hunger? How do you honor your satiety? And really, we even took a step back and we said, yeah, how do we honor things in our life that we value or that we find meaningful? And it brought the conversation home to, am I honoring myself? Am I doing things that maybe are not honoring, my deepest desires and wishes and hopes and dreams? It went really deep in a very meaningful way. And I keep thinking about that when it comes to like, how am I honoring myself? How am I honoring my body and my future? I'm going through it right now with my family and my grandparents. And it's been awful. It's been absolutely awful. But again, they honored their lives in really profound ways, and it allowed them to have such long, healthy, quality years in their life. And if I honor myself now in the present moment, that I'm hopeful will translate, to more years. But yeah, freaking 2023, man. It's been a freaking trip.
Well, and I think all three of us, in the pursuit of honoring ourselves and our journeys and things like that we've done this year, is we've all realized that it's okay for us to shift the goalpost. Like, we can shift and realize that where we may have wanted to be at one time isn't where we want to wind up. Like April, you got to your Wonderland and was like, and now you're further down than you were even before. So I mean, so it's okay for us to adjust those things. Like what you want. It's the same thing like we talk about when we do our when we talk about our why. Our whys can change as the time goes on, and that's okay. But so can your goal, like where you want to get to, what you want to do, all the things. Like there's people that have really, started out like I want to do all the things in the community that we could possibly do to help all the people. And then you realize, shit, that's a lot. Maybe I need to do that much. I'm going to back down a little bit. And that's okay. There's people that go full in and keep doing what they're doing all the time. And that's awesome too. You have to realize that it's not, people look at adjusting goals as defeat because you couldn't reach what you originally wanted. And that's not the case. The case of it is that you've realized along the way that you want something different. And it's not bad to want something different. It doesn't mean you failed what you originally wanted. It just means you got to turn the corner a little bit. That's all.
Yep.
And it goes back to, we I don't know if we coined the term, but we say this pause and pivot a lot. And I remember saying that to myself a lot this year, like, got to pause to pivot. And then someone, I can't remember who it was, I think it was a community member that said, there's power in the pause. And I remember hearing that and being kind of like it took my breath away a little bit. Like, oh, there is a lot of power in this pause, this reevaluation, this, like what you were saying, Jason, of I just need to pause so that I can just figure out where I am so that I can pivot my goal, my intention, whatever it is. There's a lot of power in that. And it took me, 3 years post-op to kind of learn, oh, I just need to pause for a minute so that I can reevaluate and pivot. And I might still be in that pivoting motion. Sometimes I feel like I'm just spinning, but we're going to call it a pivot.
Hey, that's a pivot too.
But yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of power in that pause of like, oh, I thought this was my goal. I thought that I wanted to work at this company for 10 plus years. Turns out I don't. And I'm going to pause and I'm going to pivot and I'm going to quit, or whatever that looks like for you. And there's a lot of power in that.
When it's the pause, people tend to think that they are losing momentum or that they, can't move forward right now. That's a problem. But in all honesty, like we talk about our bodies when we stall, like our body has to catch up with itself, figure out where to go next and move forward and go. So taking time to catch your bearings and figure out exactly what it is before you make a decision on where you're going to pivot to, there's nothing wrong with that. People just always automatically put a negative connotation to it because they feel like, oh, well, now I've stopped momentum, so now I must just be treading water. Now I'm just here. Like I'm not even doing anything. But in all actuality, that pause isn't you losing momentum. The pause is you putting the game plan together to make the next best step that is going to align to where you want to go.
Mm-hmm. Well, and we always skip over the pause. We say pause and pivot, but it's pause, but the focus is on the pivot, right?
Pivot comes real quick.
Well, the pivot is exciting. The pivot is the exciting part. The pause is the boring, I got to think about where I'm at and reassess. The pivot is where the action is.
Well, the pause is sitting in it. You got to sit in it. You got to sit in your feelings. You got to sit in reality. You have to sit in what is true. It is not pleasant. Not pleasant.
That's where the work's at. Nobody wants that.
Nobody wants that. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Nobody got time
for that. We just got to keep moving. We just got to keep moving.
You can have that. It's fine. Yeah. I don't need it.
I won't think about anything if I'm moving. Once I stop moving, I got to start thinking about stuff. No thanks.
No, thanks. So when we do think about our year ahead, 2024, have you spent any time thinking about yeah, intentions, lessons that you either want to leave behind in 2023 or carry forward to you. I know having words of the year is important to people. Yeah, just like where's your head at when you think about next year?
I mean, I said it at the top. I am struggling with thinking about, I can't even believe it's December, let alone thinking about next month being January. Like that's just where I'm at in my life. When I think about words of the year, because I've been liking that for the last couple of years, just having a word of something to focus on. I'm going to keep my word of sustainable or sustainability, because that was a good check-in for me of like, is this sustainable? Is what I'm doing right now, is this sustainable for a happy, healthy life? And there were times where I forgot about my word and then was reminded by our lovely listeners and friends. And I think it's just a good word. Like, how can I be sustainable? How can I not burn out? How can I not focus on the pivot? Sometimes you just need to pause and make sure that it's sustainable. So I guess pause and pivot, and then sustainability are my two like focuses, because there's a lot of unknown, and I just need those two words to anchor me.
Nothing wrong with that.
Freaking love it. Jason, what about you?
I was kind of laughing with you guys before we started recording, but my 24 really is mapped out in time frames of when I can, my post-op and when I can eat food again, and most specifically at the 6 to 8 month mark when I can eat red meat again, or at least try. But no, honestly, mine's just going to be progress. Like there's going to be progress in a lot of things. I've got, some mental things to clean up. I've got, just from this last year and kind of what it's been for me. I've got a lot of progress I plan to make with my physical self, with my health, with all the things. Like I need progress to really be what anchors me this year, because there's a lot of stuff I need to get going on, and I'm locked in like I have not been in a long time. So I'm excited about that. That's really what I'm kind of drilling down and focusing on, to make sure that I stay connected with the community, stay connected with, my people, my close people, and everybody that, we talk to, and things that we do for each other, with each other in the community, at large, and inside the BariNation community itself. But yeah, I'm excited and hopeful for the progress that's coming for me in 24.
It's gonna be a year of a lot of transformation. And I appreciate you kind of adding some clarification to that, right? Because progress just for the sake of progress isn't always beneficial, right? But progress with the intention of growing in a certain way, or better understanding something, right? Or making progress to improve, to grow, to expand. That's progress for the sake of growth. And that's very different than just like, making progress. It's like, what does that even mean? Like, it just sounds like you're really dialed in on some things that I think have been eluding you for quite some time. And it sounds like you are ready to really tackle those things, so that you can make a very significant, change in your direction. Freaking rad.
That's the plan.
Yep. I think mine, I came across an article a couple weeks ago, and sometimes you just read something or you see something and you're like, oh, that's sticking like glue. It was this freaking article. It was a business article, of course, like we're shocked. But it was about how routines tend to fall apart the moment one aspect of your routine doesn't go to plan, right? Then the whole routine's gone. But if you focus on building practices, it's much more sustainable, because practices flex with what life brings your way. And I'm very much an all or nothing person. Everything has to go exactly to plan. This is the plan. I know 8,000 versions of the plan, but and movement, there's just been some pillars. Honestly, movement has been a challenge for me. I'm struggling with vitamins. There's just some things that I'm just not doing well consistently. And when I came across that article, I kind of went down the rabbit hole of, how powerful practices can be over routines. So I really think in 2024, my focus and my shift is going to be, what practices can I establish in my life that are truly beneficial for me as a whole person, and not just me as a bariatric patient? Because I can't separate my bariatric patienthood from my life. They are one and the same now. So I have to learn how to carry kind of those two things together. I really want to work on mashing them together, and building practices into my life that can flex with whatever life brings. Because I don't know what lies ahead. 2024 is going to be, I think, ridiculous on every level. I think it's going to be crazy on my personal level. I think it's going to be crazy on the business side of things. I just think it's just going to be one of those years. And I would much rather have my practices to lean into when things get crazy, and not necessarily routines. So that's going to be good. And I have a lot of just clutter. I got a lot of shit all of a sudden surrounding my life, physical, emotional, mental. I just have a lot of stuff. And it's really hard for me to think clearly and to focus on me when there's a lot of clutter in my life. So, you guys don't know this yet, but you're going to find out this now. Well, maybe you do. In January, BariNation is hosting a decluttering challenge with a Marie Kondo trained expert. She's going to teach us how to declutter our lives, not only physical clutter, but also mental clutter, digital clutter, all of these things, right? Because that clutter really holds us down. It can weight us down. It can just cloud things. It makes it difficult to focus on the task at hand because there's so much crap all around. So I'm really, really, really excited about that. And I think that's going to be a really great way for me to kick off 2024. And I think it's going to be a great way for a lot of other people.
Yeah. And I'm excited because we talked about this, we've been thinking about 2024 as far as content and the membership community, all of that goes. And you had brought this up, April, and I remember being so excited because some members in the Set It Up Sunday group that I lead sporadically, but trying to get more consistently, we talked about feeling stuffed, like just feeling not like physically full, but like mentally full. Our physical space is full. Like we just feel stuffed. And that really made me excited that we're going to work with them, because I think a lot of us are feeling like that right now, just mentally and physically stuffed. We're just stuffed.
Yep. Well, and I swear, it used to bring me comfort to have all this stuff around me, because if all this stuff was around me, I didn't have any space. I couldn't think about anything else, right? Because everything is chaos and there's just so much around here. But it's almost like that feeling of too much, that crushing feeling, it's like a weighted blanket. It's like, I don't like this, but whatever, right? But all of a sudden you realize this is actually keeping me stuck. It's preventing me from doing the growth and the work and making the progress that I need. It's keeping me from my work, from the work of weight loss surgery. And I very much am enjoying the feeling of not being full, but not being hungry.
Yeah. I came away. It's funny that you mentioned the way that analogy, because last night I'm in a Facebook group that is for very low mileage, like rare type cars. And people were talking about, well, why does your car sit without putting miles on it? And they were like, well, I don't want to move all the shit from around it to get it out to drive it. So I just look at it from time to time and then go on. And I was like, as soon as you said that, I was like, because last night when they said that, I was like, I kind of do that shit mentally too. There's a lot of stuff mentally I don't want to look at. So I just kind of peruse by and be like, yep, that shit's still there. Cool. All right. Yeah, I don't want to unpack everything around it to get to it, but it's there. And I just keep moving.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's like my stepdad, he's a widower. He has had a very different life than most. And I remember moving up to live with him, when I was 17, my mom and I moved up there, and the garage and the like basement room, it wasn't a basement, but it was like a second room kind of down there, just full of stuff. And I remember asking him one day, like, why don't you get rid of this? It's just blankets and, there's nothing there really. And he obviously was grieving, and I didn't really understand that because I was like 17. But, it's like he just enjoyed going down. Oh, it's still there. I'm going to go back upstairs to my life and continue on. And we totally do that. I mean, I'm so used to just opening the door, being like, oh yeah, there's that thing that I never dealt with, and then closing the door again. It's very comfortable for us to do. And so I'm excited. I think all three of us, and a lot more in the community, we're all kind of addressing those things that are in that room, so to speak.
Right.
So
Well, because I think we're all starting to realize, like, if I don't clear out this clutter, I'm never going to actually get to drive this car that I love or that I worked on so hard. If I don't clear out this clutter, I never get to actually utilize this space, right? If I don't clear out this clutter, I'm not going to ever feel at peace. And we're tired of that. We're tired of having these things or these moments in our lives that we just can't access because of the clutter. And we're to the point in our journeys where it's like, oh, that is the work. And how interesting that as we continue to move out from our surgery, the work isn't ending. It's just changing, right? It's like one part of the journey is done, or we've moved beyond it. And now we're in this new phase. And that is kind of the point of this, is not ever necessarily, we're not stopping, but we are definitely realizing that, oh, there are new things that are coming down the road. And I don't ever have to be fearful almost of like getting to the end of this, because it's just not going to happen. There's so many things that we can discover, that we can work on, that we can make progress towards, not for the sake of, well, I just have to keep going. It's like, no, this is for the sake of a better life, of more fulfillment, of, I don't want to say more happiness, but I think of a higher level of contentment.
And joy. I mean, I think there's a huge difference between happiness and joy. Mm-hmm. And I mean, this is like a whole other topic for another day, but thinking, as you were talking, April, thinking about like my grandma, and she was truly joyful, like not just happy, not like, I think she was content, but like truly there was joy. And I'm like, mm-hmm. Okay, I want that. Like, how do I get that? And it's because she dealt with those things that we store away. And the sooner that I can work through these things, the sooner I know that I can get to that place of joy.
Mm-hmm. Pretty profound, my friends. I mean, I'm not shocked.
Like the great Heather Cribbins says, more joy.
More joy.
I love Heather.
More joy.
Oh, I love Heather so much.
More joy.
Dude, she's one of my favorite humans on the whole planet. If you guys have never had the joy of meeting Heather Cribbins, Dr. Joe's wife, Marty's mom, y'all seek her out in your life. Seek her out.
Yeah. I want to be Heather when I grow up.
Right. Okay. I have a bit of a curveball question. So I'm going to ask it, and then I'm going to do some business, and then we're going to come back to it. But it has to do with BariNation. When you think about the year ahead, what is kind of your goals or your hopes for BariNation, the organization, BariNation, the community, right? What BariNation is. So while we're all thinking about that, I want to let you guys know, if you value this podcast, if you value the support that we offer, consider supporting it, my friends. For $5 a month, you can become a Patreon supporter. You can literally help us produce the podcast. You can help us drive the content. You can help us identify new and amazing people and experts to invite on the podcast. You can really be a part of BariNation. You can help us grow this amazing community. So just go to BariNationPodcast.com, become a Patreon supporter for $5 a month, and you will get an invitation to join us every other week at our community and Patreon only Struggle Bus events. And we have some very exciting things happening in 2024 that we are excited to share with our supporters. So that could be you. It could be you. Support us, $5 a month. If you value this, please help us produce it. Okay. What are your goals for BariNation in 2024? Jason, what's your goal?
Growth and connectivity. I think between using the connectivity to just to connect with as many people and patients in the community as we can, including support people. I believe that we will grow to reach more people that need the assistance that we offer.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Nat, what about you? Hoops.
Super hoops.
Super hoops.
You gotta love a hoops interruption. He's the best.
Right.
Sometimes hoops just need some attention.
I think my goal for well, it's not, I think. Yeah, my goal for BariNation is I think refinement. I really want us to deliver the support that people need in more efficient ways, if that makes sense. I want to really like, if I think of us as like this like bariatric surgeon, and they so quickly and eloquently can diagnose the problem, can go in and deliver the support that people need. That's really that's my hope for BariNation in 2024, connecting with more people, introducing this support in this community to more people who need it, helping it become more accessible to them, and delivering that meaningful support right when people need it. I really want us to be the organization that patients can turn to and go, oh my God, this is exactly what I needed. That's what I'm hopeful for. That's mine.
Mm-hmm. You hit the nail on the head with that, April. I think, and Jason, I think the two words that came to mind were diversity and growth. And diversity in all the facets. I want to make sure that all people know that they're welcome in BariNation. And I want those perspectives in BariNation to help us grow interpersonally, selfishly, for my own growth and benefit. I want to learn. The more people and perspectives I can meet and learn from, the better. Mm-hmm. And I want to diversify, like you said, April, our experts. I want to grow the amount of experts that we have. I want to grow our community to reach every corner of the world if we can help it. But I think especially for 2024, it's really diversity that creates growth. Because I think that is how we grow. We grow by learning and reaching out to new perspectives. So the more diversity, the better.
Yep. Well, and I really have experienced it firsthand this year. This community, it makes hope real. It makes hope real. We think it's intangible. We think it's out of our reach, but it's not. Every time I go to a BariNation group or class or meetup, anytime I go to anything as a patient, as a member, I leave there filled with so much hope. And I can see that hope in other people when they get what they need, when they hear a story that's different from their own, where they connect with somebody that doesn't have the same experience or doesn't necessarily look like them or isn't in a different generational age bracket than them. It's the exchange of those struggles and the stories and the hope that actually makes more of it. And it's just such a powerful engine that can drive so many people's journeys in such positive and powerful ways.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
And I've seen us begin, I mean, we've been, I think, striving for that diversity and that new perspective. And I think towards the end of 2023, we've been seeing more of that diversity and new perspectives coming in to the community. And I just want to keep it going. I want to make sure we nurture it and we keep that diversity going.
Yep, absolutely. Well, my friends, as always, a phenomenal conversation with us.
Yes, thank you both.
Yep. I love these moments when the three of us can just kind of reconnect. I love the moments that we have with the amazing experts. They're equally important, but it's just nice for us to get together and talk and reflect and and just connect with one another. If you guys are watching this podcast, please, you guys go to YouTube, like, follow, subscribe, share, leave us a comment. If you are listening to this podcast, go to your podcast player, subscribe, like, comment, do all those things. That actually really helps us grow and reach more people. And you can also, on the Spotify app, you guys, it's so cool. You can go, we have polls, we have questions. You can let us know what your goals are for 2024. You can let us know what you're leaving 2023 with. We'd love to have your feedback. And of course, we would love to welcome you in the BariNation membership community. Like we said, we have this awesome decluttering challenge that our friend Spring, an expert, is going to be leading for us. If you are feeling stuffed, if you're feeling like you got a lot of clutter, join us in the community, participate in this challenge that she's going to be leading. She's going live every single week. She's doing calls. She's working with people. It's going to be an amazing thing. And it's happening in the community. So we definitely invite you to join us for that. And the season of support annual membership sale is still going on, you guys. You can have an entire year's worth of support for only $349, a little bit more than $1 a day. You are worth that dollar. You are worth that dollar. So please join us there. And I will give you a little sneak peek of what we're going to be talking about next year on the podcast. You guys can expect episodes every single week, and we are really focusing on our pillars of bariatric success: movement, mindset, metabolic wellness, and community. So we are going to be diving into some really interesting, exciting topics that are going to have a lot of meaning for you, no matter where you are along your bariatric journey. So 2024 is looking pretty bright for BariNation and for all of us, all patients everywhere. Jason, my friend, you want to take us out?
Yes, ma'am. We did want to recap by thanking everyone in the community for all the support we've had in 2023. Whether it be you reaching out and letting us know that you enjoy the podcast, or something that we said connected with you or resonated with you in a certain way. Like, those things keep us going to let us know we're doing the right things, and we appreciate you guys immensely for it. You guys have supported us in ways we didn't even know we needed, and we thank you tremendously. So just remember, at the end of the day, you've got this, we've got you, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, friends.
Bye, guys.
Happy New Year.
Yes, bye, everybody.